Did you know that there are currently 2,755 billionaires across the world? Did you know that just over the past year, the combined net worth of those billionaires increased $5.1 trillion? Well, it's one thing to make money, and it's another thing to give your money away to causes that you hold dear to your heart. I mean, it's one thing to be rich, but it's a completely different thing to be giving, which leads me to MacKenzie Scott, because if you wanted to summarize MacKenzie Scott in one word, giving would definitely fit the bill. MacKenzie Scott, the billionaire philanthropist and former wife of Amazon founder Jeff Bezos, has given $2.7 billion to a variety of charities, according to a blog post that she released earlier yesterday morning. It's one of the most trending topics in the world right now, and that's why I decided to do a video on it. Now, this newest philanthropic announcement of hers means that since July of 2020, she's donated a total of $8.5 billion. That's right, billion with a B. In the blog post, she said that she donated the $2.7 billion to 286 high-impact organizations focused on a variety of causes, ranging from the arts and racial justice to higher education and combating domestic violence. Following her divorce to Jeff Bezos in 2019, MacKenzie Scott got a 4% stake in Amazon, and that 4% stake has made MacKenzie Scott the world's wealthiest woman, according to the Bloomberg Billionaires Index. And she's giving away her fortune at a much faster rate than her ex-husband, Jeff Bezos. Now look, I'm not here to debate who should donate their money and why they should donate their money and when they should donate their money, but I do think it's pretty awesome that MacKenzie Scott is doing this. I mean, obviously she has the means to do it, but it also takes the generosity to do it, and that generosity is a complete game changer. Now, I know that Jeff Bezos has been doing a lot more in terms of philanthropy in recent years than he has ever done in the past. He now has the Day One Fund and he has the Bezos Earth Fund, but according to a Bloomberg article that I was just reading this morning, Jeff Bezos has been a billionaire since the late 90s, and his first public gift wasn't until 2011. Now, I'm not saying that it's a bad thing. He can do whatever he wants with his money, but come on, man. It took you over a decade of being a billionaire just to open your pockets and give back? Just really quickly, I would love to know where all my viewers stand on this. If you were a billionaire with a bottomless fortune, would you participate in philanthropic endeavors, or would you just keep the money for yourself? If you were a billionaire, what causes would you support? I mean, I'd love to hear about it in the comment section below. And while you're thinking about that, please don't forget to hit that thumbs up button. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button so that you don't miss out on any of my future content. For those of you that didn't know, MacKenzie Scott has actually remarried since her divorce to Jeff Bezos. She is now married to Dan Jewett, a Seattle area science teacher, and this is actually their first donation as a married couple. In her most recent blog post, she wrote, "Me, Dan, a constellation of researchers and administrators and advisors, we are all attempting to give away a fortune that was enabled by systems in need of change. In this effort, we are governed by a humbling belief that it would be better if disproportionate wealth were not concentrated in a small number of hands, and that the solutions are best designed and implemented by others. Though we still have a lot to learn about how to act on those beliefs without contradicting and subverting them, we can begin by acknowledging that people working to build power from within communities are the agents of change. Their service supports and empowers people who go on to support and empower others." If you're interested in reading the blog post that MacKenzie Scott wrote yesterday morning, I will put a link to it in the description below. So make sure you go and check it out. It is really well written, and I honestly do commend her for what she is doing. Honestly, the world needs more people like her. Alright, so here is a little timeline of MacKenzie Scott's giving spree. In July of 2020, she announced a $1.7 billion donation to historically black colleges and universities, along with some other groups. In fact, I actually pulled a breakdown of where she donated that initial $1.7 billion in July of 2020. There were a variety of different philanthropic areas that were selected, and among them were racial equity, LGBTQ+ equity, gender equity, economic mobility, empathy and bridging divides, functional democracy, public health, global development, and climate change. But that's not where this story ends, because then, in December of 2020, she announced that she will be giving away another $4.2 billion to 384 organizations across all 50 states, Puerto Rico, and Washington, D.C. In her blog post from December of 2020, she didn't have a breakdown of the different areas that received funds like the blog post from July did, but she did state that the 384 organizations that received donations were carefully selected teams that have dedicated their lives to helping others by working and volunteering and serving real people face to face at bedsides and tables, in prisons and courtrooms and classrooms, on streets and hospital wards and hotlines and front lines of all types and sizes, day after day after day. And it's important to note that even before all of her generous philanthropic endeavors over the course of 2020 and 2021, she had already signed on to the Giving Pledge back in 2019. And for those of you that are not familiar with the Giving Pledge, it's a campaign that was started by Warren Buffett and Bill and Melinda Gates in 2010 to encourage the world's ultra-rich to distribute at least half of their net worth to philanthropy, either during their lifetime or upon their death. So me being me, I was really interested in learning more about the Giving Pledge. So I went straight to the website givingpledge.org and found out that more than 200 of the wealthiest individuals, couples, and families from around the world had committed to this campaign. Now, I've known about the Giving Pledge for some time, but this was the first time I've actually taken some time to research it. And the cool thing about the Giving Pledge website is that they maintain a list of pledge signatories, and I'll be honest, I didn't realize that so many people had committed to this very impactful campaign. If you want to see the full list of the Giving Pledge signatories, I will also post that link in the description below. That way, if any of my viewers become a billionaire in the future, you can be inspired to give back like the hundreds of people that are on this list. But let's get back to MacKenzie Scott's most recent announcement. Like I said earlier, today's gift announcement is in the amount of nearly $2.8 billion, which will go to 286 high-impact organizations in categories and communities that have been historically underfunded and overlooked. I read the blog post in its entirety, and my takeaway was that this $2.8 billion will be distributed out to 5 major causes that she and her team feel really strongly about. The first cause is higher education, which according to the blog post is a proven pathway to opportunity. Now, MacKenzie and her team looked at and researched 2- and 4-year institutions that were successfully educating students who come from communities that have been chronically underserved. The second cause is discrimination. Now, according to the blog post that she wrote, discrimination against ethnic and religious minorities has been deepening, so she and her team assessed organizations that were bridging divides through interfaith support and collaboration. The third cause is arts and cultural institutions because, according to her, they can strengthen communities by transforming spaces, fostering empathy, reflecting community identity, advancing economic mobility, improving academic outcomes, lowering crime rates, and improving mental health. She and her team evaluated smaller arts organizations that were creating these benefits with artists and audiences from culturally rich regions that donors often overlook. The fourth cause that this donation supports is poverty. Now, according to her blog post, over 700 million people globally still live in extreme poverty. To find solutions, we all benefit from on-the-ground insights and diverse engagement, so we prioritize organizations with local teams, leaders of color, and a specific focus on empowering women and girls. The fifth cause that this massive donation will support is employment. That's because there are over 1.6 million nonprofits in the United States, and those 1.6 million nonprofits employ 10% of our country's workforce. And nonprofits rely on donations not only to support their relevant cause, but also to keep the lights on and pay their employees. All in all, this is a very impressive and a very admirable thing of MacKenzie Scott to do. Like I said earlier in this video, it's one thing to have money, but it's an entirely different thing to donate that money through philanthropic endeavors. I also give a lot of credit to Bill and Melinda Gates and Warren Buffett because when they created the Giving Pledge in 2010, they sort of transformed the expectations of billionaires. Now, there is no doubt that Bill and Melinda Gates, along with Warren Buffett, spearheaded this whole movement when they promised to give away the majority of their own fortunes, either while they were alive or after their death. And with them doing that, they enticed hundreds more of the world's wealthiest to do the same thing. And giving away your money, especially when you have billions of dollars, is not necessarily an easy thing to do. I mean, you can't just give it away to anybody. You still need to do a lot of research and due diligence to make sure that your donations and the money that you're giving away is actually being put to good use. I mean, the last thing you want to do when you're volunteering or donating your time or your money is to support an organization that may not be doing exactly what they advertise. And the cool thing about this whole philanthropic trend is that we're now seeing relatively newer and younger billionaires participate as well. Most recently, Ethereum founder Vitalik Buterin donated over $1 billion in cryptocurrency to support India's COVID-19 relief efforts, making it one of the largest philanthropic activities by a single person. At the end of the day, it's nice to see people with the financial means of helping others actually doing it. If I had that kind of money, I would do the same thing. There is no question about it. But on that note, I do want to mention that you don't have to be extremely rich or even a billionaire to give back to your community or to give back to society in general. The vast majority of us can always give back to society in many different ways with our time. We can teach a course, we can volunteer at the local community center or the local hospital, or we can be on the board of a nonprofit, or we can help out at our religious centers. There are so many ways that we can give back, and I don't want anybody to think that giving back just means giving back in terms of money. Now, there's a lot more that goes into it. So I hope this video inspires some of you to get out there and help make a change and lend a hand to someone or something that needs it. Well, with that inspiring message, I'm going to call it a video. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you all next time. Oh, and make sure you give this video a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe to my channel.